Look at him. He's just dickered. Just dickered, boys. Son of a bitch.
Yo, yo. Class A, and macro. Not connected, not elected to participate. Bouncing down the stems will make your head hurt. Enjoy the takes. Says her whose head burns from hearing horror stories. Get the
Hey everybody, welcome back to Take or Wide. This is episode 209. Episodes are brought to you by DaveLevittPhotography.ca. Dave, he does music videos, he does websites, he does promos. He, 5 years ago when I started this thing, well, about 5 years ago, he helped me out. He helped me host the files and kind of helped me with some back-end coding stuff and just always been supportive of what I do. So I'm always going to be supportive of what he does. He is a talented photographer based out of Cambridge here. And if you need promos or if you need some references, if this is your first time listening, check out Guest of Honor by the Sabs. He shot and edited that. Thunderstatement by GRIEVE. He shot and edited that. Solitude by Fuck the Facts. And just a talented cat. So if you're looking for someone like that, hit up Dave. Just go to DaveLevittPhotography.ca. Go to his Instagram page and like it and all that jazz. Also brought to you by Wellington Brewery. That is a brewery based out of Guelph, and they provide the tasty beers. I don't know what else to really say. I think they're Canada's oldest independently owned microbrewery. I think they opened 1985. Sort of local, not Cambridge local, but local enough that it feels like home. So if you want to grab a good beer, go grab a Wellington, and in a way, you're kind of supporting this. Also brought to you by Dapper Beard Oil. I think in the last episode, I fucked up the description and I put like .ca. It's dapperbeardoil.com. And it's Andrew Rashad. He plays bass in Swarm of Spheres. And he's started his own little beard oil company. It's good. I've had it. He has 3 different kinds. He has the Gold Tusk. That's a fresh, spicy, earthy undertone. He has Black Tusk number 2. It's more smoky, cedar, and cypress. And there's a scent free if you don't want to have any sort of smell on your beard. I could probably use these again. I know that I drool in my sleep, so my wife's not super stoked with my big drooly beard in the morning. So if you have a drooly sleep pattern, just get a hold of Dapper Beard Oil. And it's ethically sourced, helps hydrate, repairs your beard, antibacterial, reduces beard dandruff. It's a good product. And if you go buy it, you're supporting an independent business. And I think that's really, really important. Help the little guy. Go to dapperbeardoil.com and use the promo code TakerWide free ship for free shipping on that order of beard oil. Where else am I at? Also brought to you by Kevin Rigo of Hefner Toyota out in Kitchener. Kevin's an old friend, a really, really old friend. I remember when I moved here, maybe one of the first friends I made outside of Mark and Joe, which were just my bandmates. And Kevin's an honest guy. He's a family man, and he supports this, So I have to give him all the love. I'm not sure if the listeners are heading out to Kitchener, but if you are, pop in. Buy a fucking car off him. I dare you. Just an honest guy. If you guys are thinking about buying a car, who knows? Fuck. Go to Kevin. He'll help explain everything, and you level up as an adult. Get a fucking car. So that's all the sponsors. Thanks for keeping tuned in till this long. I always wonder if talking about sponsors too much is a problem. I listen to podcasts and sometimes there's too many and it's kind of like, all right, get to the point, but it's, how do I put it? It's kind of necessity. This is a fun thing to do, but there are some costs. So these sponsors help offset those costs. And I don't feel like I ramble too much. If I am, just tell me on Facebook or something. Anyways, for this episode, 209, we're talking to Deniz. Deniz plays in They Grieve. He also played in Stay Here out of Ottawa. And over the last couple of years, I've slowly got to know him more and more through shows. And we just did those shows with GRIEVE. We did the Ottawa and Quebec City dates with them. And it's fucking rad. Maybe because they're a 2-piece as well. And I don't know what else. They're rad guys. That's why it's rad. But we're going to sit down, talk about music, talk about life, talk about philosophy, talk about whatever else this podcast brings. So yeah, this is 209 with Dennis. Record. All right, so here we are. It sounds okay?
Sounds okay to me.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to be kind of floating back and forth between my questions and this window because it looks like I can only keep this full screen of your face, which is cool. I'd rather do this face to face.
Awesome.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well, man.
Yeah?
I got a wine on the go. Got some cats sleeping beside me.
Sweet. Cheers.
Cheers, man. And got a couple of episodes of Game of Thrones down the hatch tonight.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I dropped off that. It was too the episodes are too long. Like I feel like I have such limited blocks of time that it's a daunting task to like look ahead like that's an hour. I know that's an hour gone. But I'll waste an hour doing something just as silly as watching a TV show, but it's just like I don't know. I've been doing a lot of Arrested Development, like 20-minute blocks.
Yeah. The 20-minute shows are nice too. My partner and I have been watching High Maintenance, and I guess they're just doing like the new season now. So episodes come out every like week or whatever, and we just get them on HBO. But I think they're like half an hour now.
Okay.
Yeah, even like sometimes in the morning we'll like wake up early before work and just like have our breakfast and like throw one on, or like the Stephen Colbert like Trump cartoon.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
It's actually pretty good. There's some good moments. It's like it's totally over the top, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, there's too much. There's too much to take in. There's too many shows. Like do you ever do Rick and Morty?
No, I never checked it out. I've heard good things though.
It's pretty fucking good, man. It's really well written. I was trying to explain to Viv like that it takes a few episodes, but like I don't I went into reading theories and like fan fiction sort of thing. I really went kind of deep with it, which like I'm kind of embedded in the show now, so it's a clever show. It's really well written and it's fucking super funny.
That's what I've heard. I've heard about like I guess like some of the weird science stuff that goes on in there too, and then some of just like the like kind of ridiculous like plot twists and whatever.
Yeah, it's really fucking good, man.
Yeah, for me, I was into Futurama for a while. I think that show is incredible, and it's just for me, it's like the stupid puns, like Madison Cube Garden or whatever, like as they're just like zooming by the city. It's just a giant cube. It's awesome.
You love that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. So I was just kind of did an intro and I said we did those shows and we did Quebec City and then you guys had to drive back, right? Yeah,
we drove back overnight.
That was it gets more and more. I think about that. Well, shit. As I'm getting older, I'll be driving and I'll kind of think like, oh, what if I die right now? Like when I never used to think that way.
Yeah. That's kind of how we felt too. Actually, it was kind of after that show, we had like another weekend like that we just did in Montreal and Sherbrooke, and then we have a couple shows in March. But Gary and I are both feeling like, man, let's cool it on the shows now. Like a big part of that is just we want to write a new album and just like and really focus on that rather than just I got a riff here, I got an idea here, or whatever. We want to like kind of sit down and have like a concentrated, dedicated kind of moment to just bring a bunch of stuff together. But a lot of how we were feeling too was like it's not, I think like the cool factor or like the exciting factor is just like not there that much, you know, when you get older, when you've played 100, 200, 1,000 shows or whatever, it's not like cool and punk to like sleep on a floor anymore. It just hurts your back, you know?
Yeah. And I think you don't realize that till you do it, right?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
and it could be just our ages too, right? We're getting older. That's a big theme of this is always talking about getting older, this and that. But it sucked that I just thought of you guys when you were driving. I was like, fuck, these guys drove like 5 hours to play one gig and they're driving home, and it's really a question of like, they must really love to do this, or they're kind of crazy, because that's kind of crazy. Like I'd have to make sure we were getting paid really well to do, or not even really well, but like there'd have to be some sort of push for us to do that same drive that you guys did.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's there's a few things that went into it. I think Gary and I both love playing shows, and we really love playing together. It's a really unique experience playing in a two-piece, as you know. And we also love you guys. We love seeing GRIEVE any chance we get and playing shows with you guys. But Gary and I also have a bit of like a fuck it attitude, where it's like, oh yeah, we could play this show. Should we do it? And then we're kind of like, yeah, I guess, maybe. Is it worth it? Fuck it, let's just do it. And I guess we're lucky to be kind of in that position where, we figured worst case scenario, we'll cover the gas that it takes to get there and back. The other thing was like Gary didn't realize that he had to work in the morning.
That's right. So, yeah. But it was great to see you guys, man. Like I know Seb fairly well, but there's really nothing like hanging with your buddies at a show. Like you're both musicians and you talk musician talk. Like we are having a good talk at the merch table, and the whole setting and the vibe is just perfect to shoot the shit with your friends. Like that's the thing I have a hard time with when I go out with Viv to do family events. It's a lot of small talk, and at a show it's exciting because I get to see you guys play, and I get to play, and we get to talk about what we're doing. Mostly, like we'll talk about other bullshit too, but it's so much. Even with the Xanthesis guys, it was so much fun to do shows with our friends.
Yeah, man, it really makes a difference. And I think we both kind of play like bummer music, and so it's not like oh yeah, we'll go and party and just have this fucking wicked whatever. I mean, sometimes, but it's more we're playing it because we want to play. And but at the same time, having good friends that are doing similar stuff, and having friends that are willing to support us, and people that we're stoked to support in whatever small way we can, makes a gigantic difference. It makes all the difference.
Yeah, well, I guess that helps you decide to make that drive and get paid kind of minimally. And
exactly, like if it was some other band, even if it was a band we liked, but we weren't so much stoked on the dudes, you know what I mean? If we weren't as good friends with them, it probably wouldn't have been worth it to us. But it's like, yeah, this is gonna be an awesome show regardless of the turnout. Seb's putting it on. It's at Scanner. It's with the GRIEVE dudes. Like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be worth it to like play our music in that setting. You know what I mean?
Do you it's funny you say like bummer music, because it is. Well, more so I think you guys are more on the gloom, drone, like dark atmospheric vibe than us. But do you find it hard sometimes to like get in a headspace to play that type of music?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's funny because I'm not really, when I'm playing it, I definitely don't feel bummed out, and I don't feel like sad and whatever. Like nothing. When we're playing live, like at a show, or even at a really good jam where like Gary and I are really concentrating, it's nothing. Like it's really it sounds cheesy, but there's that like, I think it's an Iggy Pop like sample or something at the beginning of that Mogwai record, Come On Die Young. Okay. And he's talking about punk rock and whatever, and it's like you get on stage and you feel nothing and whatever, and it's like it's romanticized. It's kind of like maybe exaggerated in that sample, but it's kind of that. Like we play for like 24 minutes, and there's like a few moments in the set where I think about something, or like I fuck up and I look at Gary or something like that. But for the most part, like I'll go for like a minute straight, and I'll realize like I haven't even opened my eyes, and but I don't. It's just like automatic or something. Like it's just brain shut off, and my body is just doing the things that it's been like trained to do. Well, and it sounds weird, but it feels really good to not do things consciously, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I try to achieve that state of exactly that, and I have a
Mhm.
hard time with that. But because you're kind of new to drums, right? Like,
Well, like new to doing it seriously, I guess.
uh. What did you
The
do and
other
stay here?
I played drums,
Oh, okay.
but like those songs were like even slower and even simpler than the They Grieve, a
Oh,
lot
wow.
simpler than the They Grieve stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and uh, but like, and I, all the that's really the only band I've like seriously played drums in. But I didn't want to play drums and stay here. I wanted to play bass, and in fact, that's how I joined. They needed a bass player. McGee was actually playing drums.
Oh, really?
He played drums for their first show, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I joined. And I was so stoked to play bass because they're really easy songs, but really heavy and slow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stoked to just like bang out these like gigantic gnarly chords and like my Ampeg V4 and just rock out. And then McGee couldn't do it, so we had someone else. And then we were jamming for a while, and we booked like a 5-day thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like a week before that, he couldn't do it. And so our guitarist and songwriter Anthony was like, "Dennis, you got to do the drums, man." And I was totally like, "No, I don't know how. Like, I don't know any of the parts. Like, I can't do it." And he was like, "Fuck you. Yeah, you can. I know you can do it." And I was like, "Damn it." And it was easy stuff and whatever. And so then that tour, we toured without a bassist. And then I just stayed playing drums, which was fun, but I always kind of resented. And not because I didn't like the music or whatever, but I thought I would have kind of had more fun playing bass. And I wasn't really doing any songwriting. But with They Grieve, it's a lot different because although I think Gary does most of the songwriting, I get to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
And as we write the new stuff, I feel like I'm pushing myself to like be a bit more creative and like have better timing playing the live loops and stuff like that, which I still fuck up all the time.
That's hard, man.
Yeah.
Especially with like the volume and like it's distorted. It's like I watch you guys and I see the learning curve that's happening because it's a lot, man. Like you guys are pretty ambitious when it comes to being just a two-piece. Like you definitely don't make it easy for yourselves.
Well, that was the idea behind staying a two-piece. Like They Grieve started as an idea, like as a way for Gary and I to like experiment, I guess, and like push each other in terms of songwriting. Because I guess Gary just wanted to do something that was a bit different than Alaskan, but still kind of in the same vein as like heavy and kind of melodic.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do some songwriting too. And it just so happened that it made sense for me to be on drums while we're writing stuff together. But we're like talking about riffs, and we're both like, I'll grab his guitar and I'll say like, you can do whatever this way, or let's try it that way. And he'll do the same thing with me on drums. Like, point out parts where the rhythm can be a bit more awkward or it can change or whatever. And it's really weird. Like both of us just like giving each other directions, and the response is always the same. Sometimes we'll just be in the car hanging out or whatever, and it's like, man, that riff we were playing the other day, like we could try it this way. I was thinking of it in my head. And it's always like, well, we might as well try it to see if it sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really nice writing with another songwriter that's not like controlling, I guess, or like he doesn't need to be controlling because it's just one other dude.
Yeah.
It's not like he has to coordinate a bunch of people learning parts, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's a weird experience, but
yeah. Well, I know what you're like being a two-piece. I get it. We don't do the same as you, but I understand the ease of communication, but at the same time, it's hard to fill. Well, maybe not. I was gonna say fill space, but lacking a guitar player really like makes it difficult to crush sometimes because like I guess you guys might have the same sort of problem with like samples and looping because it's just because we're loud and it's angry and it's distorted and like our riffs sometimes get lost in the mud, and I think you're sampling. It's a whole learning curve. It's exciting to talk about with you because it's the same thing. It's a two-piece, but like with you guys, it's so much more There's a lot more happening. Like, what is like? I'm curious. What are you running on your kit? Like, you have the kit, but then you have the keyboard, and you also have foot samples or something.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think you're pointing out something really great because we're both two pieces, but I think we have different challenges because Gary is running a guitar and Mark's running a bass, and so the things that we feel in our own music, like respectively, that need to be filled in are kind of different. Where and we're also, I think, like going for different things. Like atmosphere can be cultivated in a lot of different ways, and we want to do it through like drones and having like textures and lots of layers, like lots of different parts harmonizing with each other. It's tough with two people, but with you guys, like you guys never lack like low end. You never lack like the crushing stuff at all. And I think your new record is like phenomenal. It's
Thanks,
there's like some nice dynamics on there, which you find through like speed and stuff too. You guys have like a really wide range of like tricks up your sleeve.
Hey, man, thanks. Well, like you guys too, man. Like the layers, it grows and grows, and I've seen you guys like really crush where it's on. You know, no issues with the tech, and but to make that must be super hard. And even you're only two guys, and you're limited with your limbs. Well, I guess I'm going on a tangent here, but the difficulty in executing all that because you have like your setup again, like
I forgot to answer
no
that.
it's okay, it's all freeform here, man.
Yeah, so it's the kit, and instead of a rack tom I have two floor toms, and I have a synthesizer on a stand that just goes around my bass drum. And then beside that I have a sample pad where I trigger samples. And on the floor by my feet, I run a volume pedal, a looper, and then just a reverb that I just keep on all the time.
So are you looping, like your synth is like just keys mostly, and that's getting looped, or?
Yeah, so and this is another thing that I really like about GRIEVE is that both Gary and I get to improvise a bit with the drone stuff.
Oh,
and
cool.
so all like the pad kind of drones that I do, I play them live, and I loop them, and I build the chords and little fluttery melodies and whatever. And I kind of know what I'm doing, but it's not the same every time. Every time we play, it's different, depending on kind of how the loop goes, or spontaneously I'll get a little idea for just like a 3-note little melody or whatever after I'm kind of building the chord, or I'll start building the chord like layer upon layer instead of just playing 6 or 7 notes at a time, and I'll build it slightly differently, and we'll take a little longer or go a little faster or whatever, but that's why I run the looper and the volume pedal, just so that I can kind of control how I want the drone to go.
So it's interesting, some stuff is improvised live then.
Yeah. Okay. With Gary's drones, he again like kind of knows what he's doing, and so at the end of like the first song on the record, the way we do that live is that like I start the song by building a drone, and I have it looped, and then once the actual riff kicks in, I like click off the loop and switch back to my kick drum. Right at the
that's the second song, sorry, the first song you guys play.
The first one we play.
Yeah.
And then kind of as the song's finishing, I kick the loop back on, and so like my synth drone gets going, and I'm also playing drums after I kick off the thing, just like really empty, keeping time. And Gary will he continues like playing these chords, but he has his delays cascading into each other, and he'll like bend down and adjust the time on one of his delay pedals so that it matches the time that I'm playing and with the drums. And so we try to get stuff like that going so that it's not just like sheer noise, although it kind of sounds like sheer noise. We're still working on improving that.
Yeah, well, you guys are like 3-4 years in, like
not even. I think like maybe maybe it's gonna be 3 years, like in the summer.
Yeah.
But actually, our first show was with you guys at Pressed, and we didn't even have a name when you asked us to play.
Shit.
Yeah, and so the name they grieve was like one of like a few that we were floating around. And then you like, I think we were just talking and we saw you at a show and we're like, oh, we have this new thing started up. And then you're like, you should play this show with us. And we're like, fuck, well, we don't even have a name yet. And then I guess They Grieve was picked because the other ones were like taken or something like that.
All the band camps were taken.
Exactly. And I think we played like 2 songs at that show. It was probably like a little under 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, but it's a whole process. Even you guys setting up, and even like I know the struggle of 2 guys loading in all that gear, and it's I don't know. I was gonna say maybe it's like a new thing, but it's totally not. But there's so much ease in being a 2-piece. There's a lot of difficulties, but I love the challenge too, man. Like we're really fucked because it's not guitar and bass. I feel like, or guitar and drums like that.
Yeah.
If even for you guys, if that was just the 2 instruments, like that's pretty stock. Like you can, it's been done, you know, like a bass sometimes just playing underneath the guitar, but it's exciting to try and I don't know. It's cool what you guys are doing with like, just making shit up live and what else like do you want to add as far as gear? Do you guys have plans for that? Like I think I read something you guys were gonna do like a visual thing.
Yeah. We I don't know. So I'm torn because Gary and I have so many ideas, but we already take a long time to set up. So on the one hand, we want to push ourselves to like have like projections and shit like that, or even just like good lighting, because we're really interested in like trying to like transmit that atmosphere to a live setting. But at the same time, we don't want to be the band that takes like 35 minutes to set up. You know what I mean? As soon as we hit any snag setting up, it just takes us so fucking long because there's so much going on. So one of the big challenges in being a 2-piece with like all this fucking gear is like being respectful and courteous to the other bands you're playing with and the sound guy and the promoter and stuff like that, where it's like we don't want to take away, or like even the audience, we don't want to take away from their experience. It's like getting into the music. Yeah, that band was great. Now I got to wait half an hour for these fucking guys to set up their synthesizer. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So I think what I would like to do is strip down actually. So I think I'm going to swap out my synth for one I have in mind that's a bit smaller.
Okay.
And I'd have that synth and the sample pad on one on the rack thing that goes over my kit, or over my kick drum, so that it's one less stand. And then I'm gonna actually mount my pedals on a pedal board, so that's all ready to go. So I'm not crawling around on the floor trying to push it in.
That's the worst when it's dark and like we were playing and Andrew from the Antithesis. He was trying out a new pedal, I think, but it kept fucking up, and I just thought, like, oh my god, like he was doing on his knees trying to fix it in the dark, and like, it's the worst, man.
Yeah, it's so uncomfortable, and like, I mean, Gary's pedal board. I'm like a pedal guy, and I don't really even know what he's got. I don't understand his signal path. It's wild, and I think he's got it figured out, but. Troubleshooting is really annoying, but
well, it's the you're being courteous, right? And you every second and every sort of hiccup, but at the same time you want to crush, right? I know the Sabs, we at a time, and it's me being kind of a self-control, or a control freak, where we had TVs. You probably remember where we had TVs and a sampler and lights, and I remember I was running the sampler, which is fine, but it's just something else to set up. I had the VCR, so I was kind of in charge of that, and then I think I had the foot pedal for the light switch and one little thing, and you're like, it's just like, this could have been so good. I remember we set up perfectly once and press play, but then the tape wouldn't play or something, and it's just like, all that fucking wasted effort for nothing.
Exactly.
But it's fun to. I wonder if just being a 2-piece makes you have to think more creatively, because there's no denying it's like we're lacking that standard structure. So where else, you know?
That's it, man. And that's a big that's like the driving reason for Gary and I keeping it a 2-piece. Like we talked early on about like, let's just throw in a bassist and we can still do looping and we can still do whatever, but it just frees up Gary to do stuff like that. But we actually really liked limiting ourselves in that way because it forces us to work really hard to like even simple stuff like writing a transition that's not really awkward. You know what I mean? Because you can't rely on one other member to like carry something through. Like he can't ring out and then have the bass just play the riff and then we come back in again while he switches pedals or something like that.
Yeah.
We have to figure out how to like start and stop loops in a way that doesn't sound really, really jarring. Like, oh, where the fuck did that part come from? It doesn't make any sense or whatever, you know? So learning how to like fade stuff in, fade stuff out, figuring out how to like change keys even, which I think we're like experimenting with more, is tough if you've got like drones going on that you have to harmonize with. You have to be like clever about how you're going to pick the next chord that's not just going to sound like weird, dissonant, and like something that doesn't fit.
I feel lucky in with Grabert, where like I think about you guys, I think about what you're playing, what you're writing, and I think about how hard it is to keep it fresh under that umbrella of sort of drone and gloom. Like you're not a grind band, you know what I mean? Whereas like Grabert, like we can grind a little bit, and we can also do like more atmospheric stuff. But like I you know, I feel like you guys are going for that like heavy gloom, like drone type shit. But it's like it's a road, right? And there's like I always when I'm listening to you guys, I think like how is he? Because there's some really fresh, cool ideas drum wise that you're doing that's clever and not repetitive. And I think like, okay, well, what's the road ahead for these guys? And how in that space do you write? Because I have the sabs and I have all this stuff, but I'm not kind of like, and this isn't to diminish you guys. I'm not trying to say you're like one lane, but do you know what I'm saying? Like I just
of course.
It's. Do you find it hard to? I wrote this down. Do you find it hard to be creative with your playing based in those parameters?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that having really tight parameters can do is that it can kind of motivate me in a certain way. Because it kind of gives me a clearer vision. I mean, if we're playing in like a jam band or whatever, it would be so easy to just stay in the pocket the whole time and or like everything, just like a big halftime, you know, beat on like a 24-inch ride and, you know, giant bass drum, really deep snare. It'll sound good. It'll sound fine, but it's boring and there's like no dynamics. For me, it's definitely hard to be creative as a drummer because I feel like that's not where my strong suit is as a musician in general. I think I play the drums okay, but I don't think that I'm as creative as a drummer as you or as like technically proficient.
Well,
but I mean, for me, I think one of the things is like I listen to a lot of different types of music and I just want to steal little tiny 1 second ideas that stick out to me from all sorts of weird places and see if I can kind of translate them.
Well, I like what you're doing, man. Everything that you put to they grieve is tasteful. It's never too much. And that could, I think, maybe be a problem in that type of stuff because it would distract. Like it's got to be powerful and precise, but I think that's the tricky part. How do you be powerful and precise but clever?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that's something that I'm like conscious of, and I want to push on the next set of recordings. I want to do more. I like sparse drumming a lot, and I think it fits kind of for what we're doing. I want to even think about stuff like changing snare placements so it's not just like 1 and 3. You know, like snare thing, and just throwing some stuff in there where it's like um, accenting stuff that isn't the obvious thing to accent, but it kind of creates a secondary rhythm on its own. Things like that. And I don't really know how to go about doing that, but I think it's like, Gary, play that riff for 5 minutes and I'm going to try to do something weird. Like, I don't know, listen to Death Grips or something. Like,
it sounds fun though. It does. It sounds like a real exercise in creativity but man, I really hope this isn't coming across like I'm trying to fucking
no, not at all.
sound like an ass at all, but it's slow, heavy music. So writing drums, I don't write drums to slow, heavy music. It's not as slow as you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really tricky, but that's exciting. That's exciting. I am excited to hear the new stuff, to hear what you guys do with that. So you are going to slow down with shows to focus on writing, you said? Like, is that like for sure you're going to turn shows down and stuff?
Oh, we've already turned shows down. Yeah. And it feels bad because both Gary and I have this instinct that's like, well, we're a band. We're supposed to play shows. Like, that's why we're kind of doing this to a certain extent. But I mean, writing is really important to us. And since these like first batch of songs that we wrote, we really haven't focused our attention on it. And I feel like we're more comfortable with our gear now, and we have a better idea of kind of what we're going for, what we like and what we don't like. We dropped a song from our set and replaced it with like a newer one, which we recorded at the same time as the EP, but it's going to come out like a little while later. We've just been taking our time mixing it. And and like reflecting on that. So we just used to play all three songs of the EP front to back in its entirety, but we dropped the second one. And although we really like the last riff, both Gary and I have a lot of fun playing the last riff in that song. We felt like the first riff kind of was a bit lacking. Like, it was just a bit pedestrian, or it was just a bit boring.
Okay.
Like, I think it sounds good. I don't think it's a bad part. I think it sounds good recorded. I think it's kind of like a cool stoner riff. But it doesn't, and I guess maybe I'm being a bit self-critical, but I feel like that's my least favorite part out of anything we've written. And not because I think it's bad, but I think we could have come up with something that fit a bit better. And that was a bit more awkward. I want to do stuff that's a little more awkward.
Like a little more unnerving or uncomfortable.
Yeah, I kind of want to have more of an industrial feel rather than like a stonery doomy thing. I'm when I'm like a bit frustrated with like carrying gear and stuff like that, or like setting up and tearing down in like jam spaces and stuff. I'm like threatening to just discard my drum kit and just go to like an entirely electronic setup and just have like weird, gigantic industrial tones. But I think the live drums thing definitely makes sense for us. And,
yeah, well, that's the thing. There's no real rule to what you guys are doing, or even us. Like, you could. Fuck. I don't know. I'm just picturing like you guys, like giant Dennis behind like a little like this. See the kit behind me? Like a little electronic kit, like but massive sounds.
I think we will incorporate like more electronic percussion sounds on the next stuff. We've been coming up with ideas, and I think we're both excited to go in that direction, but not like entire. We're not going to have like electronic songs, but I guess like little additions or little accents and stuff like that, and use the sample pad a bit more effectively, I think.
Now, the samples you guys pull, where are they from?
So I think the one on the record and the one we use live is from a French film from the 60s called La Jetée by a guy named Chris Marker.
Okay. It's
kind of like an experimental, almost like a documentary kind of thing. Talks about memory and seeing a dead body and stuff like that, and it's kind of fitting, I guess, for the theme of the album, or some of the lyrics anyway. and the way that it's delivered too, like the guy who's talking is really like somber and then kind of rushes towards the end, and it makes when I was thinking about, I think I revisited that movie, and it was just one of those things where I don't know if this happens to you, but it's like, oh, that'd be a great sample.
Yeah. When we were sampling with the sabs, things like that would come up a lot.
Yeah, it's fun. But I'm not like 100% sold on like throwing samples into her stuff. Like I don't need to do it. I felt like that one fit pretty well. It wasn't like we need a sample just to have a sample. Let's go find something. But I just tossed it by Gary, and he was like, "Yeah, definitely, let's do it."
The whole sort of vibe with heavy music, like, I think I'm not a real lyric guy. I don't really read lyrics as much as I should. Mm-hmm. I'm always assuming that most angry metal stuff I'm listening to is dark and moody and stuff like that. But does it like, do you think like your music benefits from that? Or if you guys were talking about really uplifting, positive things, like, what do you think that would be like?
That's a great question. I think we could do it. I think you guys could do it too, except maybe not as like cheesy happy as like pop punk stuff. You know what I mean? It'd have to be kind of like.
I wonder though.
Yeah.
Like if it has to be. Like who writes the lyrics for you guys?
Kind of both of us. I guess yeah, I guess both of us.
Are you guys bummed out when you write, or are you like in a good mood when you write?
When I write, I'm reading other shit, and then I take ideas or just explicitly steal them actually, mm-hmm. and maybe twist them a bit or like put them in conversation with other stuff. So like, and Gary, I guess I can't speak to Gary's like emotional state, but we like pulling from and sourcing from other kinds of art that we're just engaging with. I guess both of us think that the stuff that we consume is going to be filtered through what we create, and it's going to be expressed through what we create, whether we're conscious of it or not. And part of the process of creating for us is being reflective about the things that are influencing us, and then actively, electing to have those be expressed. And I'm okay with lifting a line from like Gillian Welch or something like that, and repurposing it in a different context. I mean, I hope she's not listening and doesn't
I doubt it.
sue me or whatever.
I doubt it.
But yeah,
maybe shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was like Cormac McCarthy in one of the few interviews he gave puts it really nicely. And he says, the ugly truth is that books are made out of other books, or just some similar kind of phrasing. And I think it's true. And I don't think there's any shame in like, it's not like the whole fucking thing is plagiarized, but it's more about, I guess, like acknowledging what I'm engaging with and what's influencing me and what I'm thinking about, and then trying to make it my own, trying to make it different, right?
You don't come across as a dark guy.
No, I mean,
do you think you are? Like you like everyone has a darkness to them, but
I don't think I'm a dark guy. I got kind of tan skin, but
it's about as dark as it gets. Yeah, I hear you, man.
Yeah, you're with me on that one. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to dark guys. I guess. I don't know. I came across so fucked. Oh god.
Oh man.
But I just think about music and how it's like you're like the mood you guys put out there, and it's just like it must be. It's not. Does it have to be about darkness and pain? But maybe it does. I don't know. Like I don't know what Torch is singing about really, but it's so they have a weird positive darkness. It's like
Yeah.
it's a whatever that word is.
Well, the other thing is like I think that when it comes to art, like a big part relies on interpretation. So there could be like, you know, a really positive interpretation of like a work of art. Not that what we're doing is fucking art, but
Oh, it is art.
maybe it could be someone's interpretation, but there could be a really positive interpretation of something that deals with really dark subject matter.
That's
There could also
interesting.
be a really dark interpretation of something that it seems on the surface really happy, right?
Hmm.
Like it's like kind of that's where like the cheesiness comes from, or the feeling that watching a romantic comedy, like the feeling that we get that like, you know, there's some nice stuff in, you know, Sleepless in Seattle or whatever,
Hmm.
but the feeling that we get that like it seems fake or it seems kind of cheesy, I think kind of hints at something dark behind that, where it's like we know that this kind of stuff is like kind of a fantasy and it's kind of fake and it's kind of exaggerated and it's kind of like idealistic and kind of a dream, and that's like way fucking sadder than like having that realization is,
Hmm.
you know, sadder than just saying a bunch of shit that sounds dark, you know.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. That it's really all in the end an interpretation of who's receiving it.
Yeah, it's or like or who's receiving it, or I mean we could even think about like, you know, like when a rapper is like, or not even a rapper, I mean maybe that's like a racialized comment, but when any performer is like, you know, singing lyrics that seem to be like really personal, or like I did this, I did that, whatever, or I
Hmm.
will do, or I feel like this, I feel like that, I believe this, I believe that, we don't even necessarily have to interpret it as they as they themselves singing about what they actually believe, but we could interpret it as them performing a character, you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
And their performance of a character could be it doesn't necessarily have to be like advocating what they're actually singing about, but it could
Hmm.
actually be a kind of like ironic parody
Comment.
or mockery,
Yeah, almost like a
you know?
commentary, maybe, or something.
Yeah, we could, I mean, and um I think keeping possible interpretations open is important for that kind of stuff. Even like politically, you know, there's like a lot of stuff that's being talked about now, which is great. And there's a lot of good conversations being had about like, you know, well, you know, is this music rapey, or like, is this, you know, this director did a bunch of really awful shit, so like let's not
Hmm.
support, like the films must be anti-feminist or something like that, which is like maybe it's true, like maybe I don't know, like
No, it's really can get to a heavy. Not how do I word this? I'm half an idiot, but art itself, I think, is fascinating and layered and nuanced, and yeah, as someone might take your music as inspiring in a way, or
yeah.
someone might take it as garbage, or you know, lyrical content could be
Hmm.
exactly like you were saying, like this is the Bible, you know what they're saying, or the other end where it is like this is art,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I take it as that.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
yeah, and it's not, and nothing's fucking black and white. There's definitely bad art out there,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of not bad art. There's a lot of misunderstood art.
Yeah, for me it's a lot about like the context too, and um not only misunderstood art, but like art that isn't seen by the right people at the right time, I guess. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
oh, it could even be as super simple as what we make, and the people I work with at the church hearing it and totally having a certain opinion about it and have a certain thought on what I'm doing. You know, it's
Yeah.
not for them.
Yeah.
That's what makes talking about it with like someone like you so exciting, though, because it's a language that we're both embedded in.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's always funny having conversations about music with um like not music people, and then two, music people that are not heavy music people. Because sometimes those conversations sound kind of similar, where talking to some like classically trained pianist or something, like there's a kind of like condescension already there before like anything's been heard. And I think we were talking about this like at the Ottawa show, where some people come in, it's like, oh, what kind of band are you playing? Oh, I guess it's kind of metal. And they're like Metallica, and it's like, sure, I mean,
yeah. Well, it's the thing that blows my mind all the time are just numbers. The number of fucking people that exist, and how you could say something like, yeah, Metallica, and they've never, and I'm so used to my crowd of people in the shows I go to, but it's like, oh no, there's a billion some people. There's like 100 people, 40 people at this show, and 12 of them have never heard anything this heavy.
Yeah.
It's like when the first time I heard a blast beat, I was like, I can't follow this. This is noise. Or like someone like, the Dillinger. I was like, this is not, they just made this up. They're not, they can't ever play this again. But that's because I had never heard it.
Man, that's, do you remember the first time you heard a blast beat?
I think it was Slipknot.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm like not hip when it comes to music, but yeah, it was high school, and it was Slipknot, and it was like, I can't follow this. I remember listening to Cannibal Corpse 2 in high school around the same time, but maybe Corpse more had a sort of mind-blowing, like, this is crazy, but definitely like one of those two.
Yeah. Man, I'm still into Slipknot. Like, I think they've got some riffs, man.
Yeah?
I do. Like, I'm not really ashamed of that.
Oh, that's, fuck, man.
That's
what's their last record? Is it good?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, for me it's like Iowa. Like I'll put on Iowa. Like in the morning. This ties back in. For me, some of those lyrics are like really sad, and like new metal in general, but like I'll put on Iowa, or like that song Psychosocial with like the it's a super stompy riff, and it comes in after this like big fill, and I get really happy. Like if I'm feeling bummed out, and like if I feel like my kind of like anxiety is like kind of getting the best of me, if I put on some metal, and like cheesier kind of metal, or would be considered cheesy to some folks, like Slipknot, like, yeah, it does it for me, man. Or like Gojira, like, yeah, not that.
I still have to listen to that. Like that was playing. That's so funny.
Yeah, man. Flying Whales. That riff, I just, it's so catchy, man.
Dennis, we were in Ottawa. I think you were explaining it to me.
Yeah.
And then in Quebec City, you're like, you ran up excited, like, dude, this is a riff. I was like, oh, this riff fucking rules. What album is that off of?
I forget the name. It's like from Mars to something. Here, I'm gonna Google it right quick, I think.
Yeah, fuck. But again, like it's
Mars to Sirius, yeah.
People's tastes in music, and even further that, people's interpretations of music. It's always interesting to hear feedback, and I've been experiencing it super, recently because of the new album, and it's hard to really take, because this might sound bad, but it means more when someone I don't know gives me feedback.
Oh, I agree.
I
totally agree.
I've heard that from people that they like it, and it's like, okay, I like it, and I know I have really supportive friends that will tell me they like it, but when it's a complete stranger, it's like, okay, that's amazing that you really dig it. I was thinking about, so me and Mark, and you and Gary, Mark's mind. You got a guest?
Yeah. My partner's pouring me some wine.
Oh,
I'm listening though.
Okay. So let me try not to get too long-winded about this, but Mark and my vision, and we think of an idea, and we think of music, and we have our version of it, and we put it out to the world. And there's probably people who hear it who absolutely capture that vision in their own head when they listen to it. And it's like what we were trying to portray and our emotions and our thoughts, they totally get it. And like someone like me, like I listen to music, but I probably am not interpreting it exactly as the artist meant for me to hear it, just because of my biases or my whatever makes myself up. But it's always when some stranger tells me they like it, I kind of think like, oh, they really, really actually like it.
Yeah.
They really kind of got that version that we were trying to put out there.
For me, and it goes one step further for me. I'm with you when it's someone I don't know that says it, but when it's someone I don't know that says that they don't listen to this kind of music, that says that they really liked it. For me, that's weird. It's like weird. It's cool and it's weird, and it's happened to us a few times lately where someone at the show, like I'll be watching the next band or whatever. It happened in Montreal. Some guy, he was like a total bro, like had like the puka shell necklace and like a BMW ball cap, and he was like there with someone, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he was like screaming in my ear as another band was playing. He's like, I don't want to sound like a dick, but you guys were the best band tonight. I don't know anything about this kind of music. I'm here with whatever, but your set was amazing. And then like shoved his phone in my face and made me like type in my band's name on his like Facebook app or whatever, and cool. So he could follow. It was really funny.
Yeah, well, that means a lot, man. It's because a stranger absolutely doesn't have to come up to you to say shit to you.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what's funny about it to me, where especially like, I don't know, you play 1,000 shows and you get used to saying like, hey, great set, whatever. Like you talk to people in bands, but I can remember being like a kid going to shows, and if I was like with a friend that like knew someone in the band, it would feel like a bit I don't know, like awkward, or I'd feel self-conscious like talking to some guys in a band that I don't know or whatever. Maybe that's an age thing too, but there's like no business for that guy telling me that he liked it at all or whatever. So it feels weird, but
it's reaffirming, and I don't need it, but it's nice for sure. I want people to enjoy it. I want people to be inspired, and because it's like a perpetual cycle. I've been that guy that's been inspired and want to do creative shit, and it's a thing, man. I think that I'm more and more realizing what inspiration is, and I used to be like ashamed of it. Like I'd watch a movie, and I can just remember being as simple as this as a kid, watching Mighty Ducks, and then really wanting to play hockey when I got home, which we did. And as an adult, I'm like, oh, that's inspiration. That movie inspired me, and I feel like now I'm really embracing that almost silly feeling of like, this book made me want to do push-ups. It's like, well, that's something. Not taking it as like, that's like silly. That's what everyone does. But it's like, no, that's actually inspiration. Yeah.
That's a good point, man.
What a book or a movie or something that you have recently like been with that feeling, that sort of youthful, like, I want to do something?
Oh man, that's a really good question. You caught me kind of in a slump. So like I'm working through school stuff right now, and it's been like a couple months for me that I've been, or like maybe like a month and a half, that I've been really slow with the work that I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm just writing. So I kind of need like inspiration to get on with it. Part of like 90% of it is just like grinding it out like any other job, but I'm just having trouble, like, I guess, like feeling passionate about it.
Well, you're busy too, though. There's no denying that you can become extremely, like, I'm a really busy guy, so when I see these little blips of inspiration, it's, oh fuck, I have to take advantage of this. I get it, being busy. One of the things I've been inspired by lately is like seeing awesome bands.
And like Gary has been doing a ton of work, trying to like, he's like, just message everyone that's messaging us, just like getting back to them, even if it's like, sorry, we can't do a show or whatever. And he's been like taking care of stuff. He was like getting the layout done for like this CD thing that I think we have going. And just like, he's in contact with his brother who's doing like a music video for us. And he's just like, and that guy works like 3 jobs and has like 5 animals at his house. Like he's super, super busy, like just doing a ton of shit all the time. And just like how hard he's working has made me want to be like, man, I want to do some stuff. Like I want to get some stuff done.
Yeah.
And just like knock stuff off a list. In terms of like creativity though, I lost my iPod for a couple months. It was just in like the glove compartment of a car, but I was like sure that I left it somewhere, and I was like, oh yeah, it's fucking gone. I won't even bother looking for it, but I found it, and I've been listening to. There was a band called Giant that's now called Brave Young, and
okay.
Yeah. When they were called Giant, they were like a post metal band. And then they kind of transitioned to like a post-rock band, and now they just do like classical minimalist kind of drone stuff.
Yeah.
And all of it, in my opinion, is fucking amazing. But their first record is called Song, and it's just like amazing, really melodic post-metal. And I've been kind of revisiting that. That's a big inspiration for me. Trying to sit down at the piano and like work through some like sheet music that is way too hard for me. Has been kind of inspiring too. Like learning like the first of the Goldberg variations.
I don't even know what that is. You're way smarter than me, buddy.
It's like yeah, as soon as you heard it, anyone would recognize it. It's just some whatever.
Play it right now. I dare you. Play it.
Oh man, I would be way
Open
too
up GarageBand and send me the fucking. Just fucking, I'll feed it right into my GarageBand.
Just right on GarageBand.
Yeah. Well, like not to cut you off, but like, I think at this point, playing, like our creative muscles themselves, or even our literal muscles in playing a beat, that creative muscle to absorb and use motivation is something maybe that's really overlooked, because you need that shit. And I'm lucky because Mark is such a force, that he inspires me all the time. Like he's maybe to me what Gary is to you.
I think so, man. Like, it sounds like it anyway.
Like I wonder with even I know that without Mark I would practice less.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you feel?
Oh, for
the
sure.
Same?
For sure. I get to jam at Gary's place right now. And he lives down the street from me. It's a 2-minute walk. And that's helpful. I don't really to be honest, I can't remember the last time I've practiced drums.
I don't really practice either, man.
Yeah. Well, you don't need to, man.
Well, I play the set. That's my practice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I practice with Gary. But even like learning songs, like when I filled in for the last 3 Alaskan shows, it was just like listening in my iPod, and like when I'm walking around, when I'm doing whatever, and then as like to make sure I had it memorized, I'd write it out like so in my own shorthand so I could remember it. But then we'd try to just hammer it out at jam when we did it that way. And I think I maybe went in like once or twice. That was probably the last time I actually practiced like on my own, which I feel bad about. Like I'd like to get better. You know what's funny? After we played that Quebec City show, when I got home, I slept for a few hours, couldn't really sleep anymore. And I think like later that day and the next day I was watching like blast beat videos on YouTube, like watching people doing like finger technique stuff. And I was like, man, because I can play a blast beat, but it's not as clean as you do it. and I don't think I have the stamina that you do. But
Oh shit, yeah. So was it a thing that you were like, what sparked that? You know what I mean? Like,
man, watching you play drums, I'm not gonna lie. Seriously, if I'm watching you play drums and there's like another drummer there, whether it's like Lee Newton or McGee or whoever, it's every single time there's always like commentary and praise on your playing. And it's not just like, whoa, look at the amazing technique. It's just like pure like awe. Like there's
man.
there's some rhythms and stuff that you've got going in the GRIEVE stuff that are just like perfect. And then you know what? It's like the simple stuff when you like pull it back a bit. And I remember talking right after your set in Quebec City about that riff, where I like remember the vocal cue.
oh yeah.
Where it's like
5
and then you've got,
seconds
like,
or
yeah, exactly. And you got like the bell going, and it's like, it's devastating, man. That riff is perfect, and it's like the emptiness of like just hammering on the bell, like kind of at that slow tempo. It's man, it's perfect.
Oh well, shit, man. Thanks. Well, like watching you guys play, and actually, this is kind of a nice segue because I took a video of you guys playing. And like you're beating the shit out of the drums, like destroying and smashing. Now, I always struggle with where's the intensity versus the precision, you know? Like I can be angry and really intense and kind of play sloppy or this and that. And I know as the tour progresses, when I'm practicing, I can play everything easy. And then I'll be in a live setting and I'm excited and I'll play harder. And then I'll like by the 8th day, I'm playing way too hard and struggling. Like, how do you gauge where you're at playing wise? Like, are you aware of that? Like, I need to pull back, or are you just kind of doing it? Or
I'm really bad at it, man. When I feel like I need to pull back, it's when I've already gone too far, and like my hands are bleeding, or I already broke 3 sticks, or whatever. And or like I'm completely out of breath because like you do vocals too, right? And
yeah. We both.
I was surprised at how quick I caught on to being able to like, with the exception of a couple parts, like get my vocal rhythm and my drum rhythm to like syncopate. But the stamina I was like not expecting, and like the last part of our set, I'm doing this like fast tom thing and like screaming constantly and it's like the part's like 45 seconds or like a minute, and it's just like it's like screaming while doing like really fast like bench pressing or something. Like it's the worst. It's so bad. And we have like a really big drone part before that, and I'm just like trying to like lower my heart rate and like breathe, and I try to like sit up better and like stretch before and like
prepping,
just for like the 1 minute fucking thing.
It's tricky.
Yeah, I'm bad at it. I'm bad at balancing it.
Yeah, me too, man. I know. I'll watch videos. I watch some footage from Halifax, and I can see it clear as day. It's like, fuck, just pull back like 5%.
Yeah.
But it's hard because it's fun, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a couple moments in our set where I know I can just like, it's just whatever. It's super, like you can't fuck it up if you're playing it. So you can just wail completely. But I think I got this comment sometimes, like, I guess like pretty often that like I hit really hard. And I hit hard, but I think it's like there's like a bit of an illusion because I have really long arms, and so like when I raise them all the way up, like it looks like I don't know, maybe that's part of it too, because like I think you hit hard. I don't think that most drummers don't hit hard unless they're newbies or like playing jazz or like super techie grindcore dudes or whatever. But
yeah, it's hard though. It's hard to be disciplined in that. I just don't think I'll enjoy it as much, but at the same time I know I'll enjoy it more if I'm executing perfectly. I mean, it's different kinds of enjoyment, because like there's a satisfaction where that comes through like playing a part perfectly,
live especially. But I also don't want to really think.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
I just want to, like, at some of those parts, it's just I can't not. Even at jam, I play them hard. You know.
I wanna be in a doom band, like a bong ripper, just slow, easy band where I can just get shit faced and like not worry about messing anything up. That sounds amazing to me. Not even have to be shit faced, but like I think we both like push ourselves to play interesting, tricky parts, and that's fun when you do it well. And if you don't, it kind of sucks. But like, just I like this isn't to the well, honestly, BPs is the easiest stuff I play. Grabber is really hard. Sabs is hard. BPs is hard, but for me, that's why I think I have the most fun with BPs. I have fun with all my bands, but there's less worry of fucking up with BPs. I worry more with Sabs and worry even more with Grabber. So they're all fun, but it's a different experience.
It is totally different experience. Like playing in Stay Here was like easy drumming, like super simple, super minimal stuff. Anthony was the songwriter in that band mostly, and he was also a drummer. And he'd write really interesting, like he'd write some drum parts, and a lot of them were really weird, and they were a lot of fun to play. Not technically difficult, and a lot of them were repetitive. But yeah, that band was it's a lot different than playing with GRIEVE. It kind of feels like there's more at stake with GRIEVE.
Huh. Well, do you think that's just partially because there's more pressure on you because there's only two of you, or like what's more at stake?
I think it's because there's two of us. I think it's because I'm also doing vocals and like playing a synth and doing loops and shit.
I hear you.
But it's also probably like I'm like more invested in the songwriting in GRIEVE, where it's like it's not Anthony sending me riffs or whoever else sending me riffs, and I'm just learning them on the bus or whatever. But I'm like walking around, like walking to school or take a break from writing and pick up my guitar, and I'm like, yeah, okay, send an email to Gary, like, okay, here's a bunch of shit.
That's cool.
And that's probably part of it too.
Man, it's been it's been like over an hour. Yeah. This is actually great. I've never really done the Google Hangout like this, and I love it because I can actually see the person I'm talking to.
Good quality, eh?
Yeah, it's fucking great. I was gonna just do the Hibzine and probably like taper this off. I think we could go. I think we could keep going. I definitely have another beer I could drink, but I don't know if that's the best. It might veer into the ditch.
Yeah, fair enough, man.
I start talking about like music's awesome, man. I love music. Yeah, I love music too. But yeah,
I'll leave it up to you.
Let's do the Hibzine thing, which let's just play something off the EP.
Sure.
Do you have a preference? I was gonna do the I think it's What Cannot Be Held. But you're the guest, so your call, whatever you want.
That's the longest one. I would say like probably the last song.
Okay.
The Name of the Void.
The Name of the Void. Okay, let's do that. I'll put that in just make sure my shit's still recording it. I'll put The Name of the Void, right? That's what it's called?
Yeah.
I'll put The Name of the Void right here by They Grieve. You can grab that on their Bandcamp, but listen to it first. It's right here. note of that so I can edit that easier later. 113. Sick, man. What else can I even say? It's like, I don't know. It was really fucking fun to do those shows. Like, you know,
Yeah, man.
I really love what you guys are doing, and I like also love that you and I have become more and more friends over the last like 3 years.
Yeah, seriously.
It's nice, man.
Yeah, I was thinking about it before last November. I think half of the shows that They Grieve had done were with Gribert. And like, seriously.
That's
And yeah, they were kind of few and far between, but yeah, I'm stoked for these opportunities, man. And thanks so much for inviting me on here.
Man, no, it's my absolute pleasure. It's fucked. I'll prep for a podcast and never touch any of the questions. And then the ones that I don't prep for, well, obviously it's a totally different story, but like, yeah, I barely had to pull from anything. But it's great. It's a natural conversation. So the EP people can get at theygrieve.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, that's right.
And
you can order a tape, which comes with a download code through our Bandcamp or through Dwyer Records.
Word, you guys can check that out. There's I guess you guys are writing for a new record, so that's exciting. This will air next week. Do you have any shows coming up that you can shout out?
Yeah, we're playing March 4th with Botfly at Black Squirrel Books in Ottawa, and then we're playing a festival at General Assembly in Ottawa on... Oh, no, wait. Sorry. I reversed those. Scratch that. Yeah, so we're playing March 4th at General Assembly in Ottawa, which is a rad kind of art space, and it's like the last day of a festival, which will be great. And then I think it's March 25th at Black Squirrel Books with Botfly.
Okay. Sweet. Okay, yeah, people listening, you can go check that out. Let me just close this off, man. Just stay there for a sec if you can. Cool. This is Take Her Wide, guys. This is 209 with Dennis, and all love to the sponsors. DaveLevittPhotography.ca. Go to him for photos. Kevin Rigo at Hefner Toyota in Kitchener. Go see him, and he'll help you out. Dapper Beard Oil. That's Andrew. Go to dapperbeardoil.com and use the promo code Take Her Wide free ship for your free shipping. And Wellington Brewery for the beers. If you have a business or a album or anything, you're looking for some exposure, the show is growing, so email me, takerwide@gmail.com, or just Facebook me or whatever. I've seen some people reviewing and rating, and that's fucking great. If anyone else can do that, that would help the show. Go to the Instagram page, Take Her Wide Podcast is the Instagram page. I'm posting old episodes. And there's a lot of things happening, a lot of big moves that I think I'm about to make maybe, and just with your guys' help, this will just keep growing, and I appreciate everybody fucking listening, and I appreciate my guests for giving me their fucking time and their insight on...
thank you, man. It's always a pleasure chatting.
Man, it's the fucking best. Is there anything else I need to say? I feel like there is. I don't know. Grab the new Gribert record if you can. That'd be... fantastic. Strangers only, no friends. All right, fucking right. This is Take a Ride, guys. I'll see you guys next week.